Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hi, friends. How are you? I hope you're in good health and secure. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for being here. I still have stickers. I've already made these updates. Such a good boy. We are starting a new chapter. And, oh yeah, let me get this out of the way while we're just chatting here. Which are chapter 18, the merits of joyful acceptance. Why would we have a chapter about that? Several of you, for some reason, have been wondering what I'm drinking out of this cup. So let me put any potential rumors to rest. It's just coffee. If it's water, it's usually a clear water bottle, you can tell. But in this, I have my morning plasma. I'm pretty picky about my coffee. What do you find something that works, you stick with it, right? Just like Nichiren's doctrine of Lotus Sutra Buddhism. So yeah, Pete's coffee, Major Dickinson's blend. I like dark roast, but a lot of dark roast, they're so bitter. I don't like that. So Major Dickinson's blend seems to give me the nice richness of a dark coffee without burning my mouth. So with bitterness anyway. Anyway, more coffee news than you wanted to know. But any of you who are wondering, what is he drinking in that? It's just coffee. Okay? All right. Silliness. Chapter 18, the merits of joyful practice. Why would there be merit to joyful practice? Now, I hope you understand by now, merit in the context of Buddhism is simply conditions we can enjoy that foster, that support our best possible expression of our karmic freight train, right? We have all kinds of tendencies and conditions. That's what karma is, or the product of karma, right? Quiescence through transform or formations into the realm of form. And that can instantiate any possible way, because potential doesn't have tight parameters. It just has, our karmic freight train does, tendencies and conditions from the formations, yes? We've talked about this ad nauseum. It's in the Buddhism reference book. Please pick up one of those. That'll really help. But we want to express all of that potential in its most clear and life-affirming way. That's what Buddhism is, plain and simple. Without constantly monitoring our state of mind, keeping our Buddha mind, our Buddha eye open so that we don't get overtaken by our cravings and clingings and all of our worries and anxieties about possessing, owning, identity. That's samsara. So if we can detach ourselves from those tendencies of expression and express instead life-affirming versions of our tendencies and conditions, then we can enjoy life for what it truly is as it's happening, and we can guide it well into the future rather than succumbing to this more base samsaric illusion of the Saha world. The Saha world can become a beautiful, incredible place instead of a source of suffering. And guess what that beautiful, incredible place is? The Buddha land. Your Buddha experience of the very same land. Right? Vimalakirti Sutra. It's all about that. That's the merit. The merit is what you attain as a result of keeping your Buddha eye open, yeah? And how could that be anything other than joyous? Accept that that is your potential. Understand that it alters your experience of life, acceptance, understanding, joyful acceptance. That's what the title means, right? So here we go. At that time, Maitreya Bodhisattva Mahasattva spoke to the Buddha, saying, World-honored one, if there be a good son or a good daughter who, hearing this law-flower Dharma Sutra, accepts it with joy, how much happiness will he obtain? What is that question? What are you asking, Maitreya? So if you do as you're constantly being told, really dive in and own this. This is yours. Just own it, right? Open your Buddha eye. Keep it open. Live with that Buddha eye. And see how life is experienced unimpeded, right? And Maitreya says, well, obviously, I've been following you over 40 years and I still don't get it. So why don't you tell me, what does that look like? What should I be looking for? How do I know I've achieved it? Wow. Okay. And he spoke it again in verse. After the extinction of the world-honored one, well, that's a slightly different question now. But now it makes more sense. When you're gone, how the hell will I experience this? You see the vestige is still there of hanging on to the idea that this enlightened Siddhartha Gautama, now called Shakyamuni, the great sage of the Shakya clan, aren't you Buddha? No, I just spent several chapters, especially the 16th chapter, going, psh, psh. No, Buddha's not me. Buddha is. It's also in you. The potential for it is you. Just adopt it. That's joyful acceptance. Okay, so if somebody who hears this joyfully accepts it, what's that look like? When you're gone, like that makes a difference. Right? Still, it's really annoying how stubborn the human mind can be. Anyway, he says, after the extinction of the world-honored one, if anyone hearing this sutra is able to accept it with joy, if that's even possible without you here, how much happiness will he obtain? I mean, how far can he go? It's like, put your big ears on, right? He asked in the previous chapter, listen attentively. He's having a real hard time convincing these people. Then the Buddha addressed Maitreya Bodhisattva Mahasattva, Ajita! Exclamation point, Ajita! If after the extinction of the Tathagata, any bhikshu, bhikshuni, upasaka, upasika, or otherwise person, in other words, not a dolt, a wise person, a person who's listening attentively, paying attention, whether old or young, on hearing this sutra, Myoho Renge Kyo, has accepted it with joy. That's the great caveat. You can't just read it and go, oh, that's cute. You have to accept it, the reality of it. Oh, I can do this. And coming out of the assembly goes elsewhere to dwell either in a monastery, a solitary place, in a city, a street, a hamlet, or village, to expound what he has heard. Ooh, very important part. Right? Doesn't say solipsistic. Doesn't go pratyagabuddha on me. Right? Doesn't hide in a forest, but expounds. Check this out. Listen to what I've learned. Right? If you do that, bodhisattva, right? If you do that, according to his ability, right? Because we can only teach or spread or share what we know to the best of our ability. to his father, mother, kindred, good friends, and acquaintances, right? Not strangers, not ready for that. But people who know you will be able to interpret your, what did he say? Abilities. And all these people, having heard it, accept it with joy and again go on to transmit the teaching. As Nichiren would say, just if you can just inspire one person to aspire for themselves, and they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, blah, 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 right? And I don't know if this is the chapter, we may run into it. Remember the story of to the 50th person removed that you don't even know to know, and they accept it with joy. See, that's the caveat. It's not just hearsay, it's the renge, it's the insight, it's the aha moment. If you can share what you have experienced, your aha moment, and get somebody else to go, oh, I get what you're saying. Don't question it. They'll get it the way they get it. Don't question the way they get it. Let them get it. And they'll tell somebody. And those people, out of the people they tell, somebody goes, damn, that's really, I get that. And it keeps on going. You're not even there, right? If that happens, these others, having heard it, also accepting it with joy, and transmitting the teaching, and so on in turn to the 50th person. It is that one. Ajita, I will now tell you about the merit of that 50th person, that good son or good daughter who joyfully receives the truth. Do you hearken well? Why do you think he asked that? It's not even a question mark, it's an exclamation point. Now it's time to really hear me. Listen. Because obviously you're still not, you're resisting. Maybe you get it, but you're resisting. What's often translated as doubt, right? It's just unassuredness, not confident. And what's our mission here in this Sangha? To raise our confidence, right? It is as the number of all the living creatures in the 6 states of existence in 400 myriad kotas of asamkayas of worlds, born in the 4 ways, egg-born, womb-born, humidity-born, or born by metamorphosis. Whether they are formed or formless, even if they're just an idea, whether conscious or unconscious, or neither conscious nor unconscious. However the word of your insight, your aha moment, travels through entities. Footless, 2-footed, 4-footed, or many-footed. Right? He's taking this to the point of absurdity because he wants Maitreya to get this through his head. Stop having doubts. It is as the sum of all these living creatures, the sum of them. Suppose someone seeking their happiness provides them with every article of pleasure they may desire, giving each creature the whole of Jambudvipa, gold, silver, lapis lazuli, moonstone, agate, coral, amber, and all sorts of wonderful jewels with elephants, horses, carriages, palaces, towers built for the precious 7 jewels, and so forth. This great master of gifts thus bestows gifts for fully 80 years, and then reflects thus: I have bestowed on all these beings articles of pleasure according to their desires, but now they have all grown old and worn, over 80 years of age, with hair gray and faces wrinkled, and death is not far off. I ought to instruct and guide them in the Buddha law. Thereupon, gathering together those beings, he proclaims to them the law instruction. The law instruction. You see, the Lotus Sutra is a manual for bodhisattva practice. It's instruction, as it always has been, right? An interpretation of the word dharma is duty. So the teaching of the dharma is what you ought to do with your life. So he's making an example of somebody who's given everyone he knows absolutely everything they could desire, right? Like winners of an endless lottery, right? Is that going to accomplish their happiness? Some of you might be going, well, I don't know, that'd be pretty happy. Okay. And by his revealing, teaching, benefiting, and rejoicing, they all in a moment become srota apanas, stream enterers. By sharing right away, you are, because it's penetrating their minds through their ears, eyes, sound, tongue, you are exposing them to Myoho Renge Kyo. They immediately become stream enterers, whether they're trying to or not. They're listening, therefore they're trying. Sakredagamins, or once returners, anagamins, or non-returning, arhats, one who is worthy, and bodhisattvas, enlightened teachers, right? That one is getting it and wants to tell other people. Free from all imperfections, having all acquired mastery of profound meditation and completed the 8 emancipation, what is your opinion? May the merits obtained by this great master of gifts be considered many or not? He hasn't really divided them very well, but for all of these people who he's given so much to, he now shares with them Renge, gets them all to see, because they have no obstacles, he's given them everything. And now they see something much more profound, right? Maitreya says to the Buddha, world-honored one, the merits of this man are very many, infinite and boundless. Even though this master of giving had only made gifts of all those articles of pleasure to those creatures, his merits would be infinite, because he's gone well beyond just the material pleasures, yeah? How much more when he causes them to attain the Buddha way? Then said the Buddha to Maitreya, I will now speak clearly to you. Once again, he wants to make sure, listen carefully to what I'm saying, right? The merits attained by this man in bestowing those means of happiness to all living beings in the 6 states of existence, you know what that is, right? Of 400 myriad kotas of asamkaya of worlds, and causing them to attain the Buddha law, do not compare. They don't compare with the merits of that 50th person who, hearing a single verse of the Lawflower Dharma Sutra, Myoho Renge Kyo, and receives it with joy, they are not up to 1/100th, 1,000th, or 1 fraction of 100,000th myriad kotas. Do you understand why he says that? The power of figures or comparisons cannot express it. I have an annotation here. This is to indicate that an ordinary person, upon hearing and accepting the teaching of the Lotus Sutra, would quickly attain the unsurpassed way of Buddha without training of many years or the encumbrances of lesser vehicles. Let me make it even clearer. Earlier, the man he described here, who gave people everything they could ever want, he made life super easy for them. For them to hear the teachings of Myoho Renge Kyo and get an aha moment wasn't very difficult. They were already so pleasured with everything material, I'm sure they thought, what could be greater than this? Because at some point, let's be honest, I could give you $10 billion right now, and you could live out your life in the luxury of all your fantasies. At some point, you're going to be bored. I guarantee you. At some point, there's got to be more than this. And you'd be right. And some people who come into a lot of money, and I've met some, end up horrible drug addicts or kill themselves. I know it's an ugly thing to say, but once you achieve your dreams in the material world, it can be incredibly lonely and empty. And that finally is when you figure out, shit, this isn't it. All of this that I've been taught to own, to accrue, to possess, my identity, it's really nothing. What a fool I've been. So in a way, naturally they're going to accept Myoho Renge-kyo and go, oh, this is the answer. If I'd only known. Right? And that's great. That's great. They got there. And the merits are wonderful, as Maitreya said. But what Shakyamuni is saying is, that 50th person that you don't even know to know, if that person was just running along, falling through life like most people do, waiting for the next emergency, the next problem, the next thing to deal with, just living life, tumbling along in samsara, were to hear this teaching without all of that pleasure of the five senses, right? Sense organs. And heard it and thought, that's the answer. Wow, I get that. That person has traversed more life experience than all of those others. Has immediately latched onto Renge. That person's merit far exceeds the others. Buddha's making quite an amazing point here. He's saying, don't spin your wheels teaching, well, learn this first, then learn that. That's our samsaric authoritarian thinking. No, just touch the answer. Just hear it. Namo Myoho Renge-kyo. There's something there. You know there's something there because it's innate. It's built into your flesh and body existence. It's in your karmic stream. It's how your karmic stream came to be. Tathagata. It will resonate. You must have this confidence. You must know this. This is Buddha wisdom, Buddha knowledge. The engine of life. It's fundamental. It is what life is. The person who gets that with the most immediate method, handing the jewel over, like the 8-year-old girl, immediately accepted. Namo Myoho Renge-kyo. The invocation of the state of mind itself. How much more merit could you have, can you gain than that? Right? Ajita, again, exclamation point. If the merits of such a 50th person who in turn hears the Law Dharma Sutra, Law Flower Dharma Sutra, Myoho Renge-kyo, and accepts it with joy are indeed so infinite, boundless, and numberless, how much more is the happiness of him who among the first hearers in the assembly receive it joyfully, surpassing happiness still more infinite, boundless, and beyond number or compare. Another annotation here. And here again the statement that the efforts of the Bodhisattva of the Lotus Sutra teaching is so far more valuable and profound than the attainments of the previous 3 vehicles, and specifically the Arahant, without belaboring the point too much here. Right? Instant enlightenment, something the Arahant or the Arhat would never even consider. Again, ajita, exclamation. If anyone, for the sake of this sutra, goes to a monastery and either sitting or standing hears and receives it, even for a moment, by reason of that merit, in his next bodily, it says rebirth, but I quickly put behind that moment to moment rebirth, the cycle, right? He will acquire the most excellent kind of elephants, horses, carriages, jeweled palanquins, and litters, and ride the celestial cars. Does that mean a bunch of horses and elephants and so forth just drop out of the sky? No. It means his life condition will be so filled with energy because he'll be tapping into the source of that energy. You will tap into that energy, and it will feel as though you're galloping on a horse with elephants to break the way. You'll feel irrepressible, unbounded, fetters gone, capable of whatever you set your mind to. That's what that means. If again there be anyone who sits down in a place where this law is taught, and when others come, persuades them to sit down and hear it, or shares his seat with others, that person's merit on his bodily rebirth, his next moment, will give him a chakra seat, or a Brahma's, or the seat of a profound wheel-rolling king. Your life condition will immediately be altered. You will find yourself capable of whatever you put your mind to, instead of feeling repressed because, oh no, I can't do that. Oh no, I don't have that ability. Oh no, I could never. That's samsara. He's talking about the shift of consciousness. When that ninth consciousness, that Buddha consciousness, completely surrounds the other 8 and gives them Buddha-ness. Gives them complete open free reign instead of all the tethers of ownership and identity. Yeah? For hundreds of thousands of myriads of ages. Oops, did I skip something? I'm sorry. Yeah, ajita. Again, an exclamation. If, moreover, anyone says to another, there's a sutra named the Flower of the Law, Myoho Renge Kyo, let us go together and listen to it, right? Come over to my house and let's chant together, just to see. And if he who is persuaded hears it but for a moment, you remember how brief that is? That person's merit, completely ignorant of Buddhism, that person's merit, after his bodily rebirth in the very next moment of this existence, will cause him to be born in the same place with bodhisattvas who have attained dharani, the daimoku. He will be of keen faculties and wise. It'll affect, you can see it. You can see people who I've introduced to Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. They always look one of two ways. Or maybe it's two versions of the same way. They always look a little bit stunned. And immediately after that stun, not long afterward, you start to see their visage, their face, contort into whatever their samsaric justifications are. You can see their karma and read it like a poster. It's so amazing. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Catch them in the act. Namo Myoho. Say it with me. Try to keep them away from their samsaric justifications. Some can't. Some will just resist. That's okay. They heard it. Don't push it. But if you can, and you say, have you ever heard Namo Myoho Renge Kyo? And you see that look of puzzlement, and then they start to slip like, oh, they're not sure where they're going to go. Say it again. Have you heard it? It's Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Do you know how to say it? Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. And then they'll go, no, or I don't think so, or I think I've heard that before. It doesn't matter if it's a lie or whatever. These are personalities. Don't pay attention to that. Pay attention to it only for the reason that you have an opportunity. Namo myo. Say it with me. See if you can say it. See if you can say it. Just try it for fun. It's just it's a daimoku. It's something we sing. Oh, I can't sing. Oh, don't worry about that. Namu. Can you say Namu? Namu. Myoho, myoho. Now they're getting into it. The moment you get past Namu, they don't know it, but Namu is telling them, I'm here, I'm present, I'm listening. Ajita. Namu. Namu. And then you say myoho, and they look right at you, or at your chest, or whatever they're comfortable doing. Myoho. You say renge. Renge? Yeah, you use your tongue and make it a little harder. R, renge. But that's okay. Renge is fine. Renge. Renge. Kyo. By the time they get to kyo, it'll either come out real smooth, kyo, because they'll hear it, or they're struggling with, I made that sound with my mouth before. Kyo, kyo, ki. Yeah, like ki and yo. Ki, yo, kyo. Kyo. Yeah. Say the whole thing. Namu, myoho, renge, kyo. That's too fast. Okay, let's take it one chunk at a time. Namu, namu, myoho, myoho, renge, renge, kyo. There, you got it. So what is that? What does that mean? Come over to my house. Here's my number. Let me know. You can have confidence now because they've chanted. You've opened that gate. Now it's up to them to walk through it, right? Come over. We'll do that for a few minutes so you can get a sense of it, and then we can talk about it if you're interested. If that's all you want to do and you want to, that was fine, I'll go home. That's fine too. But, this is really, really profound stuff. So if we're going to talk about it, we should, kind of prepare ourselves. This isn't really the location to have a long discussion about this. People are going to look at us funny. Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know if I want to come. I don't know you. I don't want to come over here. Oh, well, here's my number. Here's my address. You can drive by and see if it looks like I'm an opium den or a responsible person. I really wish you'd come over, though. I'd love to chant with you just for a few minutes. You will know. You'll feel it. And then we can talk about that. Or look into it. Namo myoho renge kyo. All right? Thanks so much. I really respect you, man. All right. I'll see. If you have time right now, we can go right now. Oh, well, see, just be very natural. Well, that's natural for me. You may not be so bold, but my confidence is 100%. So the only thing I'm conscious of when I talk to others is that people are easily bowled over, and I don't want to scare them. I just want to be friendly, invite them, give them the opportunity, let them make the decision, or at least make them feel as though they're making the decision, yeah? So this is what he's talking about. Wherever you go, whether it's a monastery, standing or sitting, receives it for a moment, right? He sits down in a place where the law is taught, or shares his seat. To me, that's the important part. This is shoju. Shares his seat with others. That person's merit. He didn't say that bhikshu's merit. He didn't say that upasika's merit. Right? He said that person's merit. May not know anything about Buddhism at all. You'll get a Brahma seat or a seat of profound wisdom. Ajita, if moreover anyone says to another, there's a sutra named Myoho Renge Kyo. Let's go together and listen to it. Let's go together and chant. That's what that means. With Nichiren as our guide, that's what that means. Yeah? Who's going to listen to Shakyamuni? Well, Shakyamuni's gone. How's he going to listen to it other than you? You are taking Shakyamuni's place. Or Nichiren's place, as Nichiren tells us. Emulate my life. Emulate me. Be Nichiren. What would Nichiren do? Oh, I know, borrowing. I didn't mean to borrow a statement from some other cliche, but it works here, yeah? Daimoku. He will be of keen faculties and wise. And this is why we always chant before we discuss Buddhism. Because we need to open that door to what? What's the words? He will be of keen faculties and wise. That's what we want. So that when we talk through our personal blathering, their antenna will be up and they'll understand what we mean instead of latching on to our dialect, our words, our rhetoric, because that might be confusing. For hundreds of thousands of myriads of ages, he will never be dumb, nor have unpleasant breath. Okay, now we're resorting to old teachings. It's in, whoa, cosmic shift there, right? This is a throwback to, do you remember it? Did you read it? The Avatamsaka Sutra, yeah? The Flower Garland Sutra, where everything was experienced through these expressions of the human body. He didn't mean to anchor his talks on that, but if you read the Avatamsaka, he talks at great length about purification of these senses and what those purifications look like, sound like, taste like, smell like, on and on and on and on. So here's a little bit of a return to it. When people talk about Buddhism being very circular, and in a way I kind of feel like this chapter right here where it starts to do this, and we'll read more, is kind of a, do you remember? I've been talking about this all along, but you have not been listening. That's what it seems like. He will ever be free from ailments of the tongue or ailments of the mouth, the skandhas. His teeth will never be dirty or black, or nor yellow, nor in gaps, or fall out, or irregular, or crooked. His lips will not be pendulous or twisted and shrunk, not coarse or rough, not have sores and pustules, not be cracked and broken or anyway, and out of shape, neither thick nor big, neither sallow nor black, having nothing loathsome. His nose will not be flat or crooked and distorted. These are all samsaric things. But they're also very vain things, the way we see ourselves. These are all what? Components of identity. He's talking about samsara, and he's talking about our concern for all of these things purified. Not that we are shape changers, but our concerns are constant ego, measuring, identifying. It's not necessary. It's not only not necessary, it's in the way. But it's really curious that he just like flipped a switch. Like if you're really listening after over 40 years of my teaching, do you remember when I said this stuff at the very beginning? Are you listening now? The color of his face will not be black, nor will it be narrow or long or ever hollow and crooked, have nothing whatever unpleasing. His lips, tongue, and teeth will be beautiful, his nose long, high, and straight, his face round and full, his eyebrows high and long, his forehead broad, even, and upright. His sign of manhood will be perfect. Wow. Could there be any more relief for a man than knowing that his penis is great? Ladies, in whatever age he is born, he will see the Buddha, hear the law, and receive the teachings in resolve. Ajita, just notice this. Perceive the shift in your own mind. If the merit obtained from persuading one person to go and hear the law is such as this, how much more is it that one who with his whole mind hears it, reads it in the assembly, interprets it to the people, and practices it, what he teaches. Thereupon the world-honored one, desiring to proclaim this teaching over again, spoke thus in verse. And as has been the way so far, that'll be the next video. Is this making sense? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Please. I realize many of you haven't read the Avatamsaka. So as you're reading this, you must have thought, well, did I miss a book? Is there a page missing? Right? It's a quite abrupt shift. But now with a little assistance, does it make sense now? Does it make you want to read the Avatamsaka? By all means, read it if you're into it. It's really quite amazing. Because now, being a Nichiren-instructed Lotus Sutra Buddhist, going back to the Avatamsaka and reading it, you'll see it. Reading the Avatamsaka on its own, without this knowledge, it's a little difficult. It seems so repetitive and on and on and on and on. But now that you know what to expect, you read it and you can't. I know I've read it, and at moments I thought, oh man, he's been saying the same thing. But just because of the way he says it in that first lecture, that first sermon, if you want to call it that, you can tell he's speaking to people who are on a whole different mental plane. He's trying to entice them into getting the meaning. And they're just looking at him like, well, I'll have two of whatever you're on, buddy. They don't get it at all. But now in the Lotus, wake up, listen to what I'm saying. He has much more urgency in what he's saying and repeating, yeah? To me, the more you study Buddhism as a Lotus Sutra Buddhist, with Nichiren's guidance and insights, his doctrines, his life, the whole 3,000-year-old story kind of evolves in front of you. It's epic. It is epic. And we are in an epoch, the Mappo epoch. So we need to do what is necessary for this epoch, and that is the Lotus Sutra Buddhist practice, yeah? Thank you for being here. Thank you. You know the links in the description. So you can find the bookstore, the mandala store, the website with all the free information there, the podcast free. Please comment, use the tools this resource, all of the resource provides. Get that confidence and keep your practice strong, yeah? Take care of your health. I'll see you in the next one, okay? Bye-bye for now.